Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for waiting, and apologies for starting a little bit late. I am just give me one moment. I will. I see that Srinivas is here with us. I'm happy to say. So, welcome everyone to the second lecture of today. We are here with Srinivas Naik. I will shortly allow him to take the spotlight. But just first, for the people who were not here at the earlier lecture, I just want to mention that yesterday we sent out an email for the challenge survey. So this survey includes your preferences for the challenges at the end of the lecture period. It's really important that you fill this in, because if you do not fill this in, then unfortunately you will not be able to take part in the challenges. So have a look on the website. There you will find the 5 different challenges, and from there you can fill in the survey. Remember, it's really important, and I'm pretty sure that the due date for the survey is on Monday. So you still have a couple of days, but it's a really good idea to fill that in. So, and just before I hand over to the amazing lecturer, it's important to remember that we do have the Q&A at the end, which will be 10 minutes long, give or take. And at the top of Microsoft Teams, you will be able to see the Q&A button. You can ask throughout the lecture any questions that you have. So really keep the questions coming. And then at the end of the lecture, we'll pick a couple for our expert lecturer to answer. So we have today a lecture on web application security by Srinivas Naik. He's a security research manager from Intel Corporation with 17 plus years of experience and lots of global certifications like CPTE, CHFI, ECSA, and MVRE. He's an expert in evaluating end-to-end product security posture and includes cloud, AI, IoT ecosystems, lots of these things. So without further ado, I will hand it over to the lecturer, and we can begin. So the floor is yours.
Hi, Alex. Thanks a lot for the great introduction. Alex, I just need a support from your side. If you can allow Teja also as presenter, because it would be
Yes.
that user. Yeah, thanks.
No problem. Yeah.
I believe I'm audible and clear. Yep.
Is it, sorry,
It is TEJA.
TAJA? Yep. Yes, I
T
think
as
I
in
have
Tango.
it. Yeah. Give me 1 second. There we go. That
Yep.
should be.
Yeah, he's in.
It should be, yes. Yes, should be in.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a
No
lot,
problem.
Alex. Yeah. Once again, hi everybody. Very good day. This is Srinivas here. And Alex, thanks a lot for giving the great introduction and providing this opportunity to spend time with the team here and share good amount of knowledge on the AppSec. Thanks for that. So let's begin. Maybe I'll ask Teja to share his screen so that it would be a live discussion rather than me just running through a slide and then going through all static stuff. So let's explore and be very much dynamic in today's discussion and make it more active session for now. So as we all know, application security is pretty much prominent in today's world. and anything that we see around are very much dynamic in nature. Every application that we access in the internet is prone to be attacked, and it is suggested that all the applications that are currently available, any organizations that make their applications available, need application security to be done. So what we will do today, we'll just start understanding a little bit basics about the AppSec part, and straight away jump in terms of the setup that is required. And I'll walk you through good amount of examples, a practical example that will give you a hands-on perspective of what exactly is application security, and very much uh, insights into the vulnerabilities, like how an attacker can go discover such vulnerabilities and take advantage of those vulnerabilities, right? So we will first understand the lab. So for this, any security expert who wants to perform application security and take a career path in application security would definitely be using a tool called Burp Suite. Burp Suite is a proxy tool, right? And it's a beautiful tool which has got enormous functionality. Okay, so I'll quickly show you how Burp Suite looks like. So if you can see, this is Burp Suite. This particular tool gives you a feature of acting as a proxy. So it's a proxy in between a browser and the end server, right? So it is equally very important for a security researcher or a hacker to understand what is happening at the backend, understand the complete data flow that the application is working in its own function, right? So if you wanted to understand how the login exactly works, right? If you wanted to understand how the authentication exactly works, right? How do you really understand? You will not be able to understand by simply go click on the browser and then say submit, right? You need to literally go understand the backend raw format of data that is being sent from your browser to the server. And same way, the response that comes from the server to your browser, which is beautifully formatted, saying either if you given a good amount of right credentials, you would get an access. If you give a wrong credentials, you might get dropped, or it might say it's a wrong credentials, right? So this tool, Burp Suite, is a handy proxy which will give you full length access to look at all the data that has been sent out of the browser, and it makes you available to tamper. It makes available to play, like automate the request and then send those requests towards the target server, right? So that you can simply play with like malicious input, or check if this is something that you can send it to the target. At times what happens is, like, you might have a simple search box, and the search box might not allow you to enter special characters, right? In today's world, there are many smart applications where the framework itself is trying to protect. It does not allow the special characters, when even though if you wanted to insert and send it towards a target server. So in that case, you can make use of a proxy like this, Burp Suite. Just capture that particular content that is sent out of your browser, modify the request, and then send it towards the server, right? So how do you configure that? So the moment that you launch Burp Suite, this is the default uh, Burp Suite login page, or Burp Suite front access page that you would be looking at. You can just go towards the proxy. You can see small tabs on the top. You can see a term called proxy. Underneath, you will have subsections where you can see intercept, proxy settings. So you can just go to the proxy settings. This will allow you to turn your machine to act as a proxy server, right? The moment that you say proxy settings, this kind of a little pop-up pops up, and you should be able to see the settings that you wanted to configure, right? So what is that you can do is, you can say, okay, burp suite, can you just configure my device to listen on port 8080 or port 8081? So I'll just click on one such configuration and say edit, right? So this is how it looks. This is how it looks. So you wanted to run your burp suite on port 8080, 8081, bit of your choice. So popularly, people would run 8080. So I would not take that chance. I'll say 8082 or any other port, and then say OK, configure, right? And how do you enable that? You just have to tick on the right, the tick mark, just left to it. That will enable the machine to start acting as a proxy, listening for communication on port 8081 or 8082, whichever that you have ticked. Now that you have set your device to listen on port 8081, go to your browser, right? And the moment you say browser, you will have network settings in place. You wanted your browser traffic to reroute to your network device where the proxy is listening. So go to network settings. I'll be a little bit slow. Go to network settings. Configure this network settings in your browser saying any traffic that you wanted to send it to my local burp proxy, right? So it's a manual proxy uh, settings that you need to make. And this is a one-time job that you will be doing initially in your machine. And later this would be carrying forward. So you need to say, okay, listen on the local port and the port that you have configured. If you mistakenly configure any other port, definitely there will be no communication towards the proxy and you will fail, right? So you need to have right port number configured here and say okay so that this setting applies, right? So now how do you check whether the traffic that you have configured is being captured by burp or not, right? So you come back and see the history under proxy. So you can see we have done a lot many things in the past, and you can see all the traffic that is being sent from that particular browser is already being captured. So I'll do that again for you. If you can do a refresh, go back. So every traffic that you send from your browser will start getting hit at the browser at the proxy, and you should be able to access each and every request, right? So if you look at the HTTP history, every request that you're sending is again the tool will give you a nice sequence number that is easy for you to locate any of the requests. So if you click on one such request, if you can just click on one such request, how about 585? If you can open 585, one such request, right? The bottom frame, right? It clearly tells you the request that the browser is exactly sending to the target server and the response that the server is trying to reply. So there are two tabs just side by side. And yeah, so it is very clear that the raw request that you're literally looking at is something that you will be able to capture here in your burp suite. Now that the setup is up and running, right, we'll go start look at how do we literally go and target our application, right? Find some good amount of vulnerabilities and do some AppSec application security related activity, right? So we'll go back. I have made use of a vulnerable application here rather than showing something live. This would makes life easier, and it makes much more conceptual when we start explaining on a vulnerable machine. So rather than showing something basic, we'll start with looking at SQL injection, right? One such very much required and popular attack, which has got a major impact on any of the application, we'll go and run through it, right? So let us see how does the application work by default. So user is trying to submit an input in the input box and say submit, right? The moment he says submit, the user input goes back to the server, and the server responds back to the browser saying, okay, this is the response for whatever input that you gave, right? Pretty much straightforward. Any application would work as it is, right? You might send, okay, can you search for ABC string in your search box? This ABC string would go to the server. The server will make use of that ABC string, search in the database, find the output, displays it back to your browser. That is how it goes. Now, what is that we are going to do here is we'll try to play with the search string. So now that we are going to demonstrate the SQL injection, so we'll just try some basic SQL injection to see if this is something vulnerable, right? So let us understand what SQL injection is and just try to see if that SQL injection logic works for us, right? So we are trying to give a special character and submit. Uh, Now, what do you expect by when you give a special character and just say submit? And if you look at the SQL syntax would anyway start from quotation to quotation, right? And in our programming, we are very much familiar that if you wanted to see any error, you need to go out of the context, right? So in between two quotations, if I give a third quotation, which is not the actual format, the server throws the error, right? That is something similar that happened here. The moment it throws error, for me, it makes very evident, okay, this particular input box is directly connecting to the SQL server and it is throwing a SQL syntax error, right? So it is very fair that I can go and try SQL related attacks, SQL injection related attacks, right? Now at the first stage, when an attacker looks like the error, he understands, okay, let me try SQL injection attacks. Now we'll also do the same. Let us go back to the application and see if the basic SQL injection works. Now we'll try with a small logical SQL injection payload. I call it as a payload because any request that you sent becomes a payload for you in a security terminology, and it makes more sense to make it as a common term as a payload where you have multiple attacks to be performed. So now what we are doing, we are trying to insert a simple SQL injection payload where we wanted to tell our backend server, hey server, I'm giving you an input. Okay. Now this input that starts with one, with some random character one, and I'm telling the server, okay, can you tell that this is a false or I will give you a true statement, right? And you clearly make it very much logical to the server and say submit. Definitely the server would go with the logical conversation, and here you go, you have the complete output of the SQL injection uh, successfully you got executed. So the server thought, okay, the logical statement one equal to one is very much true, and it gave you the response. So you can see that my first query, a basic query, was very much successful, and it simply print all the users that are there in my database. So you can see user called admin, right? Brown, right? And some Pablo, Bob Smith, everybody, whosoever is part of the database, you are pretty much, you being a user out of this application, you are able to understand other users also, right? So this particular SQL injection straight away worked. Now, next one would be we'll try go little advanced. Okay. So I'm not happy with just by taking up the usernames, right? Let me see if I can extract all the tables from the database, right? For that, we just try to frame a very good a select union select simple SQL query and frame that, made it part of our input parameter and said submit. The moment you said submit, this prints all the column names, rows, which is there existing in the database. So you can see that the table names called users, schemas like information schema like columns, and everything is pretty much available, right? You are able to see all the table names and everything. So this is very, very straightforward, right? Now we are able to print all the schema, all the table just by inputting a SQL injection in a user input, right? Now this sounds great. Let me also see if I can get some passwords of the users, right? What are the other data that is there for a particular user? Let me extract, right? And very first thing that strikes my mind is, let me see if I can get user passwords, right? Like I could see Pablo user, I could see admin user, I could see other users part of this database. Let us see if we can get those credentials directly from my login, right? So it's the same user interface that I would make use of, and then just hit submit. Here you go. Every username and the passwords are pretty much available. We are successfully able to extract the credentials. Now, what we need to understand is the SQL database upfront does not store your credentials in plain text, which means as a user like admin, if my password is admin123 or admin at 123 anything, it does not store my plain text passwords in the database. Rather, it would have a hash, right? Like a hash that will be part of the database. So it becomes one step more for attacker to make use of that hash and then convert that hash to a plain text, right? So for that, what we'll do, we'll try with a different user. So I'll make use of Pablo user. I would be very much interested to pick Pablo user, copy the hash, and I can run my own cracking station, MD5 cracking station, and see if I will be able to convert this hash to a plain text password. But let's have something more easy. There are already online services that are very much available, something like crackingstation.net. You can go here, paste your hash, and just see if you can convert this hash to a plain password, right? So luckily we have this hash already existing, and we could see that the user Pablo has a password called let me in. Great, right? So as a security analyst, you got two steps above. You are able to uh, get a user, get their hash, convert their hash to a password, which means a user called Pablo has configured a password called let me in, right? So good. Let me try if this works, right? It has to be a proof point, right? So what I would do is uh, I'll just log out from my current user and log into the application and just enter the password that we just cracked, and boom, you can see the username at the bottom, Pablo, and we are successfully logged in, right? Which means whatever we did, literally worked. So here we were successful in totally going multiple levels in the SQL injection attack, right? Very first thing what we try to do is a simple basic SQL injection parameter to just extract if the SQL injection is SQL query can be executed by analyzing the result. Next, we just try to use a basic one equal to one query and then found that yes, this also works. We were able to successfully extract all the usernames. Later, we went ahead and extracted the tables, which is literally part of the any database. Without tables, there is no database like MariaDB, MySQL. Yes, of course, MongoDB and all does not have all of those formats, but yeah, here in this case, we should be able to extract all of those details. And then we went to the last level, and further we thought, okay, let us also query some information into the database so that something interesting can come up. And we tried with extracting the passwords, and we got the user hashes converted back to passwords and successfully able to log in. So in real time, it's the same case where any database that is being used at the backend, um, any security analyst would definitely make use of these multiple levels to ensure you make a bigger impact to the product, identify vulnerabilities, and then showcase that this is the impact that you're able to gain, right? We never have to just stop saying, okay, one equal to one minus minus, deal done. No, step up. You have to step up, go to multiple levels, ensure you gain the complete access to the end, right? So Alex, you want me to take questions now, or I still have a couple of more use cases to be discussed?
We still have around 15 or 20 minutes left, so like please,
Absolutely.
please,
Yeah.
it's fascinating. Thank you.
Thanks. Cool. So I'll just proceed. Please hold up your questions. We still have last 10 minutes and we'll be interacting a lot. So please hold up your questions. We'll discuss all of your questions for sure. Right. So now my next attack would be, which is that we wanted to demonstrate. We'll go with the command injection. So we picked up some high impact vulnerabilities to demonstrate for today rather than something basic. And the reason that we picked up this is most of the vulnerabilities in today's world have gone beyond. Multiple tools came up, automated tools that can quickly find client level vulnerabilities very much easily. And it literally needs a good amount of time for a researcher to spend to identify backend vulnerabilities, server side vulnerabilities. And we just wanted to ensure that we all know how, I mean, you might be already looking at client side vulnerabilities in very common, but something on the server side, it is very good and fascinating to look at. So one more such example is command injection, which is again a server side vulnerability where your query would directly get executed on the server side, right? Not on the client. So the server itself gets impacted. And for all of us to understand, if the server is impacted, thousands, millions of users who are accessing this server, all of them are impacted, right? So we'll just quickly go through what exactly is command injection. Now, if you look at this feature, so we'll make use of the burp now. We'll have intercept on, right? And the moment the feature in the feature it says enter IP address, we have just entered some target IP address and said submit. So when you said ping google.com, what do you expect? It just does a ping and then gives you response. So if you look at the left hand side, we just made it very much simple for everybody to look at. The moment we send submit, on the left hand side, the burp should literally captured it, the request, and just below to it, you can just modify. So can you just change that google.com to any other site, or you can say 127.0.0.1. So a user from browser, he gave google.com, but the moment it got captured in our proxy, we were able to modify the request. That is the privilege, right? When you started your own proxy, you have privilege to modify any request, anything. So what we'll do a simple change. I wanted to send a ping to 127.0.0.1 and say submit. So I just did a change in my payload, the raw payload, and said forward. So what it does, my burp proxy will forward it to the server, and the server will come back with the response. See, what happened is you in fact sent a google.com, but the proxy directly took the initiative on your behalf and then sent 127.0.0.1 because you literally modified it. That is the beauty of the proxy. It allows you to modify anything, right? So now on the functionality, what it is doing, it is just invoking a system command at the backend, right? Anyone who is literally a developer, he should be understanding this, like someone sending a command like this at the backend, a developer would use system command. System command is something that literally talks to the system. Like if I wanted to enter ping.com, sorry, ping 127.0.0.1 in my command, it is a system command. And from the user perspective, when someone sends this kind of request, at the backend, the code is calling the similar function and it is executed. Now we'll do a little trick here. What is the trick? We'll start sending a modified request and see what would exactly happen. So for now, I'll just stop my intercept and do the attack, and later I'll do make use of intercept and do the same attack again, right? So let me do who am I. So I just inserted a terminator, a small semicolon, and said who am I command. And what is the response? The ping for google.com goes, and when you terminate it with a semicolon, the next command, who am I, should also get executed. See here, you got a successful output www dot hyphen data, which is who am I, which means the server responded to your second command as well. Don't you think your second command executed, right? Very dangerous. So let us try the same from burp. So just say google.com and submit, capture it. Can you just print password or do some other payloads? Give some other payloads. ls. Yeah, so we just modified our payload request from burp and said forward. Let us see what happens in the UI. Cool. What happened? When you say list, all the files that are there in that particular directory got list. So you could see a directory called help, a file called index.php, and source. Everything is pretty much available, right? So we'll also try something else. We'll try to see if we can execute some other command. Right? So we started reading a file now. Your command went to a stage where you are able to read a file which is there part of the server, right? If you are able to read password file, it is very familiar that we can also read shadow, right? And it is very easy for anyone to understand that once we have both of these files, the server related credentials, everything can be very much extracted, and then you can directly hack the server, right? So this is one such beautiful server-side attack that we can perform, and it literally allows you to control the whole server, right? So there are multiple payloads, X amount of payloads, where you can directly go create your own file, right? So in today's world, you might see like many other sites being hacked, right? How does that happen? People just go identify such vulnerabilities and then create their own backdoor by inserting a file there, right? Shell.php, one such example, right? And he directly accesses that shell.php where abc.com/shell.php 1.php, he directly gets a console where he can directly go interact. He does not need any password, right? He can do a shutdown. He can just download any file into the server. He can start mining. That is what is happening in today's world, right? So all that is pretty much doable if something that you can identify server-side vulnerabilities. As an app security specialist, you need to be very much aware of all these vulnerabilities and the way that you can literally detect, identify, and see how you can stop all these attacks, right? So you could see like multiple special characters being inserted, right? And the kind of weak implementation that the application is being done, it is very easy for someone to go hack, modify, and play with the whole server, right? So as a security analyst, as a security researcher, we need to thoroughly understand the features and see what kind of a payload is very well suitable so that you can cause a very much high impact or any such kind of a business impact, and demonstrate that and see if you can fix that, help the development team to fix that, right? These are some examples that we can quote. Likewise, another such interesting would be IDOR. So IDOR, I would just give you a simple fascinating demo, indirect object reference. So let us follow the demo and see how exciting it is for anyone to look at the IDOR on a chat interface. So here again, we'll be using a different site to just explain or demonstrate what a IDOR is and how is it possible. Um, in today's AI world, you see a lot of chat, definitely, right? Anywhere user wants to have a beautiful experience with the application, and everyone has a chat interface because you cannot run 1,000 people behind the application to talk to million people. So people have developed automated chat functionality so that people come down, put a question, and then the bot or a chat would definitely understand your question and response back, right? So we'll see how we can simply exploit this and identify a very good vulnerability here. As usual, I being a friend to the chat interface, let me send a hello. So the moment that you end up your chat, it is allowing you to just simply download the chat conversation, right? So it is giving you a text file to download all the conversation that you have done. So we'll see. We'll again open the chat now. You have to share your browser with it. Okay. Good. Okay. Whatever we are doing it, I think it's reflecting very slow. Quiet, quiet, quiet. And just hold on there. At the what do you call, at the Bob suit. You saw 3.txt, right? Okay. So if you can see the conversation that was being done. So what we do is you need to literally understand the data flow, right? So when you see the conversation that you started with the live chat, and this guy had a feature that you can directly download your conversation to your local file. We had captured this using burp, and you can see that one such request that goes which says, can you get download transcription 3.txt file. Now what is this 3.txt? What we will do is we'll download a different file. 3.txt is something that I was trying to do a conversation. So let me see if I can get a file or get a different conversation, right? So I'll just quickly modify 3.txt to a different number and download the different users conversation. So you can make it 1.txt or something. Cool. So it gave a 200 success, which means my request was successfully executed. And someone who has already did a conversation with the system, I was able to get all his conversation, right? So how terrific it is. So this is the kind of application development that people do in the real time. And these are such beautiful scenarios that anyone can make use of. And you can see a lot of conversations that has been done by a different user. Everything, including the credentials, is something that you got access to, right? So this is my last demo. So yeah, I'll open the floor for Q&A.
Amazing. Thank you so much for this amazing presentation. It was really interesting and really technical, so like really in depth as well. So that's really great. So because we have so many people in the call, unfortunately, it's best to just do it in via the Q&A. I can confirm that it is recorded, so we can, so if you ever want to go through any particular bit, it will later be uploaded on our YouTube channel, probably in the next day or two. So don't worry if you want to look back on any bit. So just while people are typing in their questions in the chat, in the Q&A, I actually have just a quick question because I'm very new to all of this. So I just wanted to ask, what are some common mistakes, I guess, specifically with Burp. It's such a fascinating, like program. What are some common mistakes that, beginners or people who are new to it might,
Okay.
face, and what are like the best ways to overcome them?
Absolute. So the very important step that anyone should do is having a proper setup, right? And
Mhm.
for a security researcher, especially when you work with application, Burpsuite is a fantastic tool that you need to definitely have. And anyone who starts working on Burp has will definitely not be doing a cakewalk like we did at the initial time. We just spin the tool and then started working. Initial times, many people will face hiccups. First thing is the proxy configurations. So you have to be very specific to understand which port to be given, how do you enable it, and how do you ensure that your traffic gets captured with Bob. So all that has to be definitely be very well confirmed once and twice before you start your proxy. In
Mhm.
real time, in corporates especially, what happens is it does not look the same way that you just start the burp proxy and start testing. Internally, there are corporate proxies also, right? So you need to configure upstream proxies. There are a different level proxies that to be configured. So you need to also look at how do you configure upstream proxy so that you can start testing the internal applications. So there might be some challenges running through here and there before you set up your proxies and make it ready. That is first step. Second step, the moment you start configuring the proxy, you're successful. You wanted to capture the traffic like we did just now. Definitely at the first stage, you might not be successful. The reason is if it is a plain traffic, you will be 100% successful. But most of the applications right now are using HTTPS, SSL certificates. So you need to tell Burp, can you give me a certificate that I can configure to my browser and start having a communication in between both of us, and you also make use of this certificate and talk to my remote server. So you need to just configure your certificate with the proxy certificate, allow it in your browser, and then you should be able to simply intercept, look at all the traffic that is going in and out. So you need not worry it HTTPS anything. So that one additional step will make you successful in start interacting with the tool. So these are common challenges that you normally have when you wanted to just kickstart, and these are the hiccups that you have to definitely look at.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's really interesting.
Sure.
Because I kind of come more from policy background, from the legal
Okay.
side. So this is all very, very interesting to me. And kind of
Absolutely.
from that, do you like? I guess there's always kind of the ethical, I guess, almost dimension to using these types of things.
Yeah.
And what in that sense, what do you kind of take into account for like the ethical side of using this type of yeah, tools, I guess.
Yeah, by default, it is unethical for you to target any of the unknown server,
Hmm. Hmm.
definitely. But you have to remain ethical by having a NDA with the target user, or
Yeah.
you yourself are employed to that particular organization where they own the application,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
becomes more ethical in nature because you are paid for it. And unless you don't have an NDA, unless you don't have an approval to do, you are never supposed to go ahead make use of tools like this and perform automated scans or try to shoot up all the payloads and make the target messy, and you look like a hacker, right? And that that is where you end up achieving nothing and then go into bad terms. Rather than be happy by learning things, have a NDA, be very much fair, and start
Hmm. Hmm.
making it much more legal conversation, and then be very much transparent for what you're doing.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
Yeah,
No, that makes a lot of sense. No, thank you so
sure.
much. So don't forget to ask your questions into the chat. Still have a couple of minutes, so let's see.
Okay, I know people are doing hands up. I believe you have to make use of Q&A interface, and then you can just quickly post your questions so that even I can look at it and straight away reply.
I have one which is sent to me directly,
Okay.
actually, which is also possible. Do you recommend any burp extensions, or do you rely on any specific ones? Is by an anonymous user.
Um, uh, uh, Very beautiful question. Extension is a very good feature that Burp provides. Something that a user does manually, a tedious task. Extension will make you very much easy, and most of the work that you wanted to automate, extensions are one such things that you can simply make use of. And it is very much hard for you to look at some sensitive details, right? One such use case that comes most of the time when we normally test in our lab is we test the whole application, a big bulky application, and how do you literally go search for sensitive content across the application, where you wanted to literally search for sensitive content in request response everywhere? Very tough, right? One brain can't look at all the request response. So here comes one such extension where you can enable anything like sensitive finder or something, and that will actively look at all the content, raw content, simply identifies those sensitive details and make it available in a dashboard. So that makes a lot of value add, right? So that you don't skip any kind of a vulnerability. And likewise, authentication analyzer, where you have multiple users in nature, like you wanted to try admin user and a simple low privilege user, and test if a low privilege user can access admin privileges, path, data, and do a edit CRUD operations, CRUD operations. All of that, there are very good extensions that are pretty much available, authorize and all of that, that you can make use of and gets good amount of results for you.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Probably I have another sent to me directly. I'm not sure if you can see this question, but it is asking how do you safely test server-side protections without causing production issues?
Wonderful question. Someone who has already faced it is asking this question. Good question. This is something that, in a legal terms or in NDA, most of the corporates also mention, saying that if you're testing a production server, it has to be a production safe testing. We call it as production safe testing because any payload that you literally send towards a target should not disrupt any service, right? So one such chaos example, scary example is the production is live, the application is live, and you just started searching for some content using that application. Now this search application, if you're doing it for 1,000 times, the logs get generated at the backend, and the more logs, the slower the performance if the application is not properly handled in terms of memory, right? And that ends up to a denial of service attack where the application will never be accessible unless you delete those logs and free up your space, right? You might be simply using that search, but ultimately at the backend, if you understand, that is causing a great impact. So you need to be aware what is the impact, and then subsequently you need to plan what is the payload that you wanted to send. If you're sending it multiple times thinking it's only a search, that's not the case. This is one such direct example that I can quote. And likewise, you cannot go and directly create a file, shell.php, and then put it into the production server, right? So those kind of advanced payloads, something that could cause a high impact, is definitely not preferred. So please understand the functionality of the application, then plan how safely you can test, and then just only allow those payloads or only those scenarios to be conducted.
Thank you very, very much.
Sure.
And I see that we are at the end of the
Yep.
hour. So I want to thank you very much, and thank you everyone for the really good questions. I think there was
Thanks a
some
lot.
really, really good questions at the
Thanks.
end.
Absolute pleasure. I believe everyone would have really enjoyed. And I also wanted to have a credit to my colleague Teja, supporting me parallelly doing all these demos, gave me a relaxable mind to talk. So, and thanks a lot for Alex and team for giving us a platform to demonstrate, meet people, and share knowledge. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you very much. So what we actually have next, and the people who have gone to the previous lectures will know this by now, but we have a very quick kind of quiz that we do at the end. And you are more than welcome to stay, Shalivinas and Teja, if you want. It's just a bit of fun, and it's a bit of a way for them to test their knowledge. And there's a couple questions which are a bit more general knowledge, and a couple which are not. So we'll do that. And yeah, like I said, you're more than welcome to stay, but I know you are both probably very busy.
Yeah,
So
I
no
plan to
worries.
drop right now. Yeah, thanks.
Of
Thank you so
course, of
much.
course. Well, thank you so much again, and
Thank you.
I will start sharing my screen. So hopefully you can all see my screen now. Let me quickly present. There we go. So yeah, so just like the last couple of times, we've got a little bit of a Mentimeter quiz. And to join, you just need to go to menti.com and then put in the code at the top, 47377613. So I'll just give everyone a minute or so to join, and then you can test your knowledge on web application security. Okay, so let's get started. So question one, and there are 10 questions. So what does XSS stand for in web application security? So we have some which are quite detailed, quite specific questions, and some more general knowledge. But it's all a bit of fun. So most people going for one answer. And 3, 2, 1. There we go. Really good. Cross-site scripting. So on to the next question. Which HTTP header helps prevent clickjacking attacks? One person is very confident. And there's a couple of bit of difference in opinion, but give people 1 or 2 more seconds. And the answer is X-frame options. So that's really well for the 13 or 14 that chose that one. Really well done. What is the main purpose of input validation in web applications? Couple of seconds. There's a lot of agreement on this one. And 3, 2. It is indeed really well done. To prevent malicious input. Well done. Okay. Which of the following is a common result of an SQL injection attack? Is it session hijacking, unauthorized database access, broken authentication, or denial of service? So I think most people are choosing one answer. I think this is everyone is an expert for this. You are indeed all correct. Well done. On unauthorized database access. Well done. Well done. What is the most secure way to store user passwords? Most people going for one, but a couple of people going for something else. And a couple more seconds. Indeed, really well done. So hashed with a salt. Exactly. Really, really good. Okay. Which of the following best describes CSRF? So kind of two main camps here, but most people going for one. Which one is it? A bit of a more difficult question here, and give people a couple more seconds. You can reveal that, yeah, it is actually a user is tricked into performing unwanted actions. So really well done to those 26 people. That was really, really well done. What does HTTPS provide that HTTP does not? And I think people are more confident with this one. Almost everyone going for the same answer. Couple of seconds left. And yeah, you're correct. Really well done. Data encryption. Well done, well done. What is the main role of a web application firewall, or a WAF? Couple more seconds. I think everyone is going for the same answer. Unanimity. Light sometimes turns off from this room. Really well done. So exactly, block malicious traffic to web apps. Well done. Which of the following is an example of an insecure direct object reference, or IDOR? And a couple of seconds. There we go. Exactly. Really well done. So this is really, really good. What is the OWASP top 10? What does it mean? Couple of seconds. Exactly. Cool. There we go. The top 10 security risks for web apps. Really well done. Really, really good. Done. So thank you so much. That was the last question. I thought there was one more, but that was the last one. Thank you very, very much for joining the second lecture today. I know it's quite late in India, so you guys have all been really, really amazing. Tomorrow we actually have two more lectures, one on automotive security, so that should be really interesting, and then a quite special lecture on the cyber game. So this is the first session of three, where Michael Rademacher, the Deputy Director of HCSS, will talk you through, and it's really a good chance for you to firstly interact with each other and to really practice your strategic thinking. So this is quite a special opportunity. So I really, really encourage you all to go there. Don't forget to fill in the survey as well. You should have received a link in an email tomorrow, yesterday. And we will see you tomorrow. And have a great rest of your night. Bye-bye.